Among the three main characters in Honkai Star Rail, March is the closest to being the official mascot. Yes, I know it's technically Pom-Pom, but March is the mascot in spirit. The Trailblazer is technically the main character, Dan Heng is the noble and stoic loner, and March is the silly ding-dong. But don't let that fool you, as March is a fairly capable combatant and can easily keep up with the rest of the Nameless. She wields abilities that make her just as dangerous as the others. So in this video, we are going to talk about all of March 7's currently known powers, abilities, and where they might come from. Before we do though, if you want to see more Honkai Star Rail content, do consider subscribing to the channel. As with my previous video, this will be a cursory overview of March 7's abilities. I will be making some assumptions here, especially when trying to tie the information obtained from the lore with the information from her playable kit. In addition, because the story of Star Rail is barely halfway through, nothing at this moment is definite, and information will ultimately change as we learn more about March. Also, as you might have guessed, since we will be talking about her lore here, just expect some spoilers related to March's overall story. So what kind of abilities does March actually have? When she was picked up by the Express, she was found encased in what appeared to be ice floating out in the middle of space. The nigh impenetrable material that encased March is actually one of her abilities. She is able to create this ice and shape them into different things. Now generally, ice manipulation is a very common but very versatile ability. You can make shields or weapons, you can freeze enemies, you can even encase them in ice in order to imprison them. The possibilities are endless. Some of those things March has actually done. Her ultimate essentially creates a bunch of pom-pom shaped ice crystals that can freeze the enemy when they make contact. She has also used the ice to shield others as well as create arrows to use alongside her bow, which she also fashioned from this material. She has even mentioned that she can use it to close wounds if needed, but does not suggest it because she isn't as adept at minute detailed work. This all sounds pretty normal as far as ice powers go, but the thing is, it's really only scratching the surface because this material that she can wield, referred to as six-phase ice, is actually of unknown origin and might not even be ice. March herself views this ice as more of a condensed crystal, and Himeko and Welt referred to it as ice more because that's the closest approximation they have. This means that there could be far more that can be done with this material than is currently revealed. But why would March not know her own abilities? See, in the story, March doesn't really know anything about her past, these abilities, or who she even is. March 7th isn't even her real name, and it's just the date they happen to find her floating out in the cosmos. So it's very likely that we are missing a whole slew of other details here in terms of what this ability actually is and what it can really do despite it being used similarly to typical ice. On top of that, there have been a lot of hints that suggest that March's past is heavily tied to the path of remembrance. For those of you who don't know what that is, a path is a font of near unlimited energy that often is fueled by specific emotions or actions taken from humanity. The path of remembrance is one related to memories. Now, I've done a video talking about March's past already, and since this video is meant to focus more on her abilities, I'll refrain from getting too much into this subject. However, we still need to talk about it briefly because it is somewhat related to her other abilities. Throughout the current story, there have been several events that hints that March 7's memory seems to have been intentionally removed. Each time she has attempted to retrieve them, something or someone blocks her way. On numerous occasions, memo keepers of the Garden of Recollection, followers of the Path of Remembrance, have appeared. This again hints at the Path of Remembrance having something to do with March. If this were the case, March could very well have abilities that go beyond simple ice abilities, and she might be resonating with the Path of Remembrance itself. This also means that her abilities could actually have something to do with memories rather than be elemental in nature. In addition, the god or Eon of Remembrance appears as a crystalline figure, and this crystal is actually layers upon layers of condensed memories. So perhaps what March is using as ice is really the same crystal that makes up the god of Remembrance, and what she is wielding is in truth memories in physical form, as weird as that sounds. While this isn't proven in any way, her new abilities seem to also point us in this direction, or rather it has similar themes. Recently, March 7th was given a new form, one she gained from spending some time training under Yan Qing and Yun Li. Now, I don't know if this qualifies as an ability because all March really did was train for only about a week or two, so really all she can do now is just wield swords. I don't know if there is anything else she learned during this time that is considered supernatural or superhuman. If this is a purely physical skill that she has picked up, then perhaps it has nothing to do with her memory-based ones. Or perhaps they do. You see, during one special program, before this form was released to all the players, the developers mentioned something about March being able to change forms by accessing them through her memories. They equated it with how the Trailblazer could use different powers by resonating with different paths. So while she really can only swing swords more efficiently now after having the basics drilled into her, perhaps this could also have an element related to her memory powers. Maybe she can recall everything that she has learned with near perfect accuracy or something. Perhaps she only needs to experience something once and can have perfect recall of them regardless of whether she keeps working on those skills or not. Her ultimate, while in this form, also seems to hint that she calls on her memories of her training in order to execute the attack. The truth is, all this memory stuff, while heavily being hinted on, has not really been proven as her story has not yet concluded. It could very well be something else entirely. Much like the Eon of Remembrance, her eyes could really just be memories layered on top of each other and given physical form. But that's a lot of guessing and a lot of theories. When it comes right down to it, as of the current point in the story, March's abilities in the most simplest form is just ice manipulation. She can create and manipulate these 6-phase ice to create weapons, shields, or even constructs, though we have not seen her do anything exceptionally complex. If I were to briefly describe her abilities, that would be the gist of it. However, as we've talked about, there is something more to all of this, and the possibility that she has some memory-based abilities is still very much there. Much like the Trailblazer, only time will tell as to what her true abilities actually are. I'll wrap up the video here, and admittedly, I've kinda had a lot of fun making this type of videos, so I'll probably continue with Dan Heng next. If you have someone else you'd like to learn more about, especially in terms of their skills or abilities, let me know in the comments. If you had fun watching the video, do consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and as usual, have a nice day.